Hi everyone. So today is going to be a little bit of a different reading. If you've been here a while, it's not that different. It just looks different because it's mostly when I was showing my fingers, where essentially this is one of those videos where I just sit down and talk to you guys about just general stuff. However, there's channeled messages in here. I have two decks here that I felt prompted to grab, which I will go through them when I feel I'm getting that sick feeling again. Okay, so if you've been watching the other videos and you saw that one, I'm getting that sick feeling. It's like so happy you feel sick. So hi again for whomever that's for. And I'm seeing an artist. Someone here is artistic. It's a wide range, and it's like I'm just laughing because I'm thinking, like, obviously, like, the likelihood that someone is artistic, or like, you know, a photographer, a sculptor, a painter, all of these things, is watching tarot or mediumship or, you know, psychic stuff is like pretty high. But anyway, okay, there. And here's the other thing that I'm seeing is, so when I was getting ready, I was picking out earrings, and this was really drawn to me, these two earrings. And I was actually specifically said, like, to wear these earrings, which obviously I didn't, because I think it looks better if your hair's up with these birds. I think that looks really pretty when it's up, and I'm not gonna wear my hair up. I don't feel like it. So I compromised and brought them to show you. And then when I got into this room, I started hearing how loud the birds are outside. They're like screaming right outside my window. And then it reminded me, as I was sitting here, about these two doves. And they hang out around my house. They've done that for years now. And then they're reminding me how they repopulated. Like, there used to not be that many doves here, and then now there's a lot of doves, and they're so sexy. Okay, I call them, I know that's like weird or whatever, but I call them sexy doves because they're just so cute and so pretty. And, you know, anyway. And then I have this painting here, and it's actually by Havel, which worked with Audubon and painted a lot of the, if you get one, if you find a genuine Havel, this is just a side note, painting, oil painting, and it's one of Audubon's, you struck gold. Okay, this is not it. This is just one of his paintings, but it's so beautiful. I'm telling you, like, especially if you're an oil painter, I that's one of my favorite techniques, because it really, like, comes to life. It actually makes me want to cry, like, especially at night when it's illuminated with uplighting. It's like, who needs TV when you have such a beautiful it's like it's a whole nother painting at night, when it just, I could just imagine, like, I don't use candle under it because I don't want to, it already has this long crack in it. I need to look how to preserve it, but it's like how beautiful it looks already with just one light that doesn't dance like a candle does. And it just looks like a story. It looks like it's already dancing. And I could just imagine with candle how gorgeous, how gorgeous, how gorgeous. I should put a luminara under it, actually, now I think about it. Okay, so anyway, so it has two ducks and then two other birds on it, like seagulls or something. And some other stuff, but it's the birds. I keep being drawn to the birds. And so there's a direct connection here, whether you're a bird photographer, you've been like hyper focused on birds lately. And this has nothing to do with you saying, okay, I want a sign and I want to say it in the form of a bird or whatever. It's like literally you are just compulsively, like, drawn to birds. It's like, I don't know why I'm so obsessed with birds all of a sudden. Or like, you are a birder and you're planning to go on some birding trip, or like, it has to be something, or it's like a wild bird, without you trying to feed the wild bird, comes and like lands on you, or like gets up close to you or something, and you're like saving a bird. Don't save the little anyway, don't save the little juveniles, okay? Side note, I think most of you already know that though. I have a feeling a lot of you already know that. But just to say, okay, there's like something about a bird here or birds that's specific, and it has not, again, it has, I just want to emphasize, it has nothing to do with if you're like, and then I felt a ring. Maybe you have a jewelry of a bird, or you're gonna see one, or you're gonna find one. Like, let's say that you go to maybe you go to an antique store or something, you know, or you go yard sailing or something, and then there's a bird ring, and then they, oh my gosh, I'm like literally getting chills. This is so freaking important, okay? For someone out here, this is so important. I don't know what this sign is supposed to signal. I know what it signals, okay? But first, I got a pin. That reminds me, I got a pin. My friend went to a yard sale, and I told them I love turquoise, but I don't want turquoise. I don't want to buy turquoise, which is like, I don't know why I'm like this with the turquoise. It's like this really strange quirk I have where I'm like, I love turquoise, but I don't want it unless I'm gifted it. Like, I will not own turquoise unless someone buys it for me. And so they found turquoise. It was an owl pin with a turquoise belly, and it was a silver turquoise, I think it's like gold plated, so it was like silver gold plated owl, and then it has the insignia on it, so you know, it's probably like 70s or something, so, or like at least crafted by an actual artist, so that's cool. But side note, maybe, I don't know, but listen to this. This is signaling something to do with your soulmate. It's going to signal some sort of synchronicity with your soulmate in like some crazy way. Like, let's say like you're super attracted to birds, and then you find like this specific, I don't know, this is probably like a parrot, okay? And you find a parrot pin, okay? And then you're like, I just gotta have it. I don't know. I don't even care really about birds. And you buy the pin, and then you find out some way, somehow, eventually at some point, like there, or maybe you don't. No, you're gonna find this out some way. This might be like a long in the future, that your soulmate like has a necklace of the same thing, or like has that same pin, or like at that time, like let's say that you, like today, that I'm gonna post this tomorrow. It's April 3rd, I think. Is April 3rd? Yeah, it's April 3rd. I posted a video yesterday. I think it's April 3rd. Anyway, so you'll have like some sort of marking. Like, let's say you post on, it doesn't matter. You know, you're gonna have a specific time of when you found it, and you're gonna remember it somehow. And then it's gonna like link up, the synchronicity is gonna link up, so that when you discover this part of your person, then you're going to see how like two different worlds, or two different sides of the world, or two different places, or two different things, or two different thoughts. It's like you were synced up without actually really being aware of it. That's something that you didn't know. So it's like, okay, sorry, I'm getting so much information. So they're showing me a rainbow, and then they're showing me Maya Angelou. And so this is another thing. They're saying two things with that. They're saying that's a sign for someone right there. A rainbow and Maya Angelou, that's a specific sign. Then they're showing me a second meaning of it, a second interpretation. They're saying, so Maya Angelou, I know rainbow, and they're showing me I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings book. I own the book. I have not read the book in its entirety. I read like a couple chapters, if that, like maybe even just, I don't even know how many chapters it would have been, if like how short the chapters are. I barely read the book, because it's interesting, because it's not until I told my dad what had happened that I felt liberated enough. I told you, I felt cleansed, baptized, like all my sins and all everyone's sins have been cleansed from that point on forward, that I could live my life as me. And I felt like prior to that, all these things, like I don't know exactly what happened to Maya when she was younger, but I know there was some sort of sexual abuse there. And then like I know recently there was that very popular actress, Disney actress, who came out about her mother, and I know nothing about it. Like I don't watch TV. I have TV, but I don't watch it. And I barely look at stuff online on the news. And so I don't know the specifics. So basically what I'm saying is I avoid it as much as possible, because in my personal life, as far as like dealing with other, I don't like that. I don't mean it like I'm dealing with people, but like interacting with other people, there's already a lot going on there that I don't need to digest, like entertainment pieces necessarily, or even if it's informative about someone that I admire or I just like, then I don't need, I didn't feel like I should do that. Like I didn't want to do that. Ever since telling my dad and like being more open about it and like doing a video, so it was not that long ago, but it feels like I kind of have permission. Like maybe I didn't have permission spiritually and I wasn't aware of it, but anyway, so they're actually telling me to read that book. They're like, now it's time to read that book, but they want to point something out. So this is a sign for one of you. Sorry, I have a little tissue here. I'm going to wipe my nose. It's allergy season, and I'm not going to keep cropping my videos, so just a heads up. Excuse me. So, what was I saying? Okay, so Maya Angelou, I Know Why the Cage Bird Sings book is important to you in some way. No, let me correct myself. Because I said, well, I have video. I said a lot of things just this now. So first I was like, that book, and it was like, yes. Could it be like poetry or another book associated with her? And they're saying, yes, it could be something there. It's not necessarily that specific book. It could be a poem, or it could be a different book, but it's connected to her. And then I was asking about the playlist I have. There's stuff about Maya Angelou and her works specifically in there, and they're saying no, it's not that. It has to come from some sort of written work by her, about her, by her, about her, and by her. It would be both. Okay. And they're telling me about, there's a part in there that has always stood out to me. And I believe, okay, just from reading that alone, of what I'm going to tell you, is her soulmate is her brother. I believe his name is Bailey. Her brother Bailey is her soulmate. And you can look at my other videos about soulmates. This has little to do with you if you sincerely. Honestly, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, because what I'm picking up is a really deep love here for you. Okay, I'm interjecting what I'm about to tell you. I'm interjecting that because when we talk about soulmates, your soulmate is a pure reflection of who you are. Okay, they are destined to bring you closer to your path and ultimately to God, right? I have videos about that. It doesn't matter what kind of relationship you have with them. It doesn't matter if they're dead or alive. What matter, because we're spirits. We're spirits. So it's always a spiritual connection. Even when we communicate, it starts spiritually and then intellectually and then verbally. So it really does not matter. And to label something or to even like limit ourselves to being a sexual connection, or a romantic connection, is kind of not devoid or devalue. It's like robbing us in some way of the complexity and the sincerity. But there's this simplicity. It's like the complexity of the way that the human being could actually represent true, genuine, like, love. But the simplicity of it is that it just is, right? And then, so basically, and what I'm saying is it doesn't really have much to do with you, because this feels like a very romantic second side note is there's a deep, 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 deep love connection here that I'm getting. Here's a very deep love connection here that is destined to be. Is destined to be. So your soulmate, as, okay, I'm just saying, like, do I really have to keep going on about this? It's like, your soulmate, okay, pause. Let's go back to what we were talking about, and I know why Cage Bird sings. So Maya Angelou says that Bailey is her kingdom come. And that was just like heart, it's like validating, and it's just so beautiful, because that's so true, like especially with me and the stories that I've told you about my soulmate, of how we all as children need something to believe in. Like we need a savior, you know, and that love, we need that. And for someone like me who was devoid of that in the physical, was able to find that in the spiritual. And that's specifically my story alone. I mean, they that's part of it too. Okay, that's my story, right? And then they're interjecting me and they're talking about, I'm going all over the place, so just hop on in, join the roller coaster. It's going all over the place, okay? It's not even a roller coaster. It's like a roller coaster that got off the tracks and is just going all around the field. So, but it's gonna get back on track, okay? We're gonna be fine. So they're talking about this medium, okay? Talks to dead people. And they're a very well-known medium, and they I mean, I don't know how much in detail they've actually talked about this, but essentially, like, when they were going through some trying times, like back in the, I don't even know if I was around back in the day, okay? I mean, I was probably alive, who cares? Back in the day, they were really going through some stuff, and this priest showed up, and they were talking to them and so on and so forth. There was a back and forth exchange where essentially this medium was like, how did you know all of this? Like, how did you know to be here? How did you know this? How do you know? And the priest responded to them like, you think you're the only one who has an ability? It's like, obviously not. But it's also validating that people within these religious communities, it's not isolated, right? It's not segregated. It's all one, right? And so this is like side note, but it's like part of another video I need to do. But I'll tell you now, actually. I don't know if I'll do another video where I'm basically repeating myself, but maybe I'll go into more detail. But there's like a lot of organization. I talked about this, but it's getting to the point. It's getting, okay, Lord, okay, bear with me. Some of you know this, right? To varying degrees of how much you're aware of this and how much you're involved in this. So there are universities that these scientists are working out of, you know, to just borrow their equipment and stuff, where they're recruiting a lot of these mediums and psychics, and they're doing a lot of, like, the military, like this, the U.S. military. Okay, before I get a little too much into it, there are other organizations that train people to do this type of work in order to do spy work, okay? And all kinds of other things, right? And there are organizations that are investigating how exactly this works, because they're trying to create a technology. They're trying to recreate God. They're trying to create Antichrist. It's not funny. It's just like, why am I saying this? So, I mean, I know I'm saying this, but I would literally be here till my phone just dies and just disintegrates. So, we're gonna this is all gonna be okay, let me just stop there. Okay, now we got that established, right? They're recruiting them, and they're willing to do it because their ego is getting in the way, and because they've been compromised. Because if you are famous, okay, if you're famous, then you obviously had to go under a certain criteria that they are that the company is manufacturing, right? Or if you are a medium and you are releasing books and material, then they will prompt you and say, we want books on this particular subject. What do you know about it? What can you say about it? So they're creating a narrative. Whether this medium is sincere or not, there is on some capacity, because it is not genuine. It's genuine. What they're doing may be genuine, but where it's been prompted is not from within. It's from some other people who might have a different motive. And blah, 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 blah. Let's move on, okay? Can we move on from that? It has to do with soulmates, though, okay? It has a huge thing to do with soulmates lately, because we are entering a time when there is massive recognition of the soul mates. And what in essence the soulmate is a direct reflection of you, which is the wholeness of you, the lack of separation. And that is the perception of your separation from source, which is also non-existent. You are a direct product of source. You are source. I mean, yes and no. But do you see what I'm saying? And so there's a massive pushback and manipulation and confusion and all of this stuff where they're infiltrating, which they've been doing since before I was born. They've been infiltrating, just like Aleister Crowley, and he goes to all of these different places, not just these things, but they go to, there's like psychic organizations and all of this, and secret societies and open societies and blah blah blah, and they go in there and they take people who are mediums, but they're insecure, they're not working on themselves, they're cheating because they're using, you know, drugs, or they're using some sort of vibrational music, or they're doing all this stuff, and they're seeing things and not really recognizing what it is, and not having the patience to understand exactly what they're seeing. And then they're following what other people are saying, who are knowingly or unknowingly crooked. Okay, just like a lot of these famous mediums, and they come out there and they, like I talked about in another video, this is essentially what I was trying to say with that, is it's not all of them. It's not all the famous ones. There were specific ones that I was highlighting, but I didn't say it. But when you have a mentor, I don't even want to talk about it right now, but it's important to understand is you need to find this within you. You don't need, especially if you're from a freaking young age, or however old you are, you know, even 20s is young, to sit there and like go off of what someone else's criteria is, because you might be missing something that is important specifically for you. You need to find this within you. It's a very sacred thing. This is very sacred, and not enough people say it in that way, because they just get all willy-nilly with it, like it's like cool and mystical or something, when it's like not. It's just how, this is our essence, this is who we are, right? And then other people try and jump into it and say like, oh well, if they could do it, then it's like, it gets so convoluted and so crooked. And why am I getting on this tangent is because I don't know, it's very important for you to know this. Maybe for you in some way. I don't know, maybe someone's gonna come try and recruit you or something. I don't know. They'll be like, let me scan your brain. Let me give you a questionnaire. Let me put you with the rest of the people, you know, because that's what they do. They're like, oh, you're so good. You know, this and this and this person. Oh, well, they're gonna be there too. You know, it's like, and then it's like, oh, we're gonna use this because it's so important for us to know, you know, science. It's like, I was going to say screw science, but I'm pro science in a lot of ways, just not in this way. And, you know, I'm coming for you, CERN. CERN and George Washington. Yeah, both of y'all. I'm coming for you. Not really, though. And that's the thing. That's what I want to talk about, too. Is when I talk about, like, you can only know so much, you can only learn so much, and that's, I'm not trying to make a statement like I know all this stuff, like, obviously I don't, but that the point that I'm getting at that is, even with people who are in CERN and all these other places and all these other, it's like you're taking in more than you can even understand, right? Like, that's what I'm saying is completely different from when you're organically learning something, when you're organically prompted, when you're organically receiving this information, versus when you have to be self-aware enough to know when this is your free will, like you just going off the rails, and then intuitively when you're, which you wouldn't even know, okay? You wouldn't even know if you, okay, moving on, let's move on from that. Basically what I'm saying is, they're circling and circling and circling. They're circling because they refuse to acknowledge God. They think that it's created on like the Matrix, right? Like, it's like the Matrix, which is like a scientific term, I believe, that one of these other universes, probably in like North Carolina or some crap, like they created this a grid, right, where all of the higher consciousness communicates to each other, which is true, but it actually exists beyond that, above that, in a certain different way, which they think that it's all operated as if, I talked about this because I just recorded one about Trisha Paytas, and it's the same thing where it's like literally on lower scales. It's communicated on these little, like, it's kind of like, not DNA, is it? I have to look at, is it like DNA samples where it's like little bars, like ding, 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 like little bars, but they're like different equations. But okay, we went on that tangent. I'm jumping back on track. I'm jumping back on track because just sit on that for a moment and see where I'm going with this, with the soulmate, okay? So the soulmate is the answer. Your soulmate's the answer. Whether this exists in the form of a lover, or in the form of a friend, or the form of a relative. But what we're entering into now, in these next, it feels like it's been happening, okay? It's a period of like hundreds of years. There's a core time that this is happening, where soulmates are uniting in a romantic sense in order to create that purified portal, God source, to have children, in order to have children that come through that united source, that complete source. Because when you go on the soulmate journey, towards the end of it, you're going to receive a lot of opposition, which we're seeing on a global scale. A lot of temptation, a lot of opposition, a lot of frustration, because you're bringing it up to heal, in order to fight for that in some ways. I mean, I don't want to say it in like a struggling way, but it's a commitment to self. It's a commitment to God. It's commitment to wholeness. It's commitment to true unconditional love for everyone, including people who are going off everywhere, right? And so as that's reflected in you, then that's reflected out in your reality, right? And so basically what I'm seeing here is, like, with your soulmate, I'm seeing a connection here. I'm seeing a sincere and real connection here. And they want me to talk about the time that I met my soulmate, which I'm going to tell, I don't know if I said it already, I'm pretty sure I did, but I'm going to say it in more detail, because there's something important here that's connected to you. So the lead up to meeting my soulmate was very serendipitous. I was doing things, let me just tell you first, let me just double down on this message of, I was very practical growing up. Like the way that I acted and the way that I just was a very practical person. Like I was goofy, I was like just a very silly person, and just, you know, funny. I get, well, like, you know, not hot, I mean, you get what I'm saying, like, oh, that's a weirdo. Like I was just myself, right? But my truth was very much repressed and hidden. Of this, what I'm telling you now, like this was very repressed, very hidden. And there was, it's such an weird thing to think about, of how much in truth in my heart I believed in it, to where it somehow dictated my life. You know, it's like they're giving me an example of like they're giving me two examples to pay attention to. Is like when you ask for a sign, to stop looking for it, because your mind is going to look for it, right? It's going to create, it's kind of the way that I see manifestation, which is like manifestation in real world context, not spiritual context, of reprogramming your mind to focus on what is possible or what's significant or what, that kind of thing. And so if you're looking for a sign, then your mind is going to program to find that in the world, right? Because as you navigate the world, as you grow up, you navigate the world by filtering what's important to you in order for you to kind of be as efficient as possible, right? So if you misplace something, let's say I misplaced this card and I'm looking around, and I don't see it, even though it's sitting here, it's because I have programmed my mind to block that out, because that's not important to me, right? And so there's that example of like a little red truck, where it's like once you notice or you know about a little red truck, then you start seeing it everywhere. It's because your mind is programming itself to see that, to point that out, to recognize that. And so they're giving me that example, right? And they're saying, so seeing that, hold on. Let me see. Yeah. Listen to this. These are two important messages of sit with that information first, and how to accurately manifest in my terms that I talked about your life. How can you be the most efficient you can be in your life? It's very important here. Okay. And so basically, I'm going to address all this. Okay. And be most productive towards what it is that you value and that you are looking for in this life. Like have that streamline, like focus. Okay. And as you focus on that, your career, your passions, your whatever this is, that allow help, allow outside help, allow spirit's help. As you focus on that, let the rest that you desire take a back seat, and let help come in. Let that help come in. Allow that to happen for you. So I would navigate my life in some ways growing up as if I really believed it, right? Like I created my reality because I was on some level believing what I was, the spirit world. And so I would listen to the advice of the spirit world, but I would deny it and deny it and deny it. And so all throughout life, like, you know, those moments at night when I was a child and I would talk to my guardian angels, I would talk to my soulmate, and I would project myself into different areas. In that moment, I felt right. In that moment, it felt real. But then when I would wake up or I would be talking to other people, it was hidden. It was secret. It was my world, my secret world. And so it's just denial and denial and denial. So even if things were reflecting that were accurate, I would still deny it to myself. I would still make excuses, right? Like I told you, I would tell myself that it was a way for me to cope with what I was enduring. Or I would tell myself that, you know, maybe I just am so empathic because I had to learn to read energy from a young age. And so that's why I can pick up on the nuances in people. And then if there was no way of me picking up the nuances, then I would feel like, well, maybe it was a reverberation, this and this and this and this and this, which are all true. Those are all true to certain capacities, but there's also more to the story, right? Which is kind of what I was getting at when I talked about these scientists and everything and people who are doing cheat codes, where essentially it's like you can get to the spirit world, right? Like someone who's dropping acid, they could see things, but they don't understand it. And who's to say that it's, I mean, I've talked about all of this, but it's, I mean, everyone's journey is different. So some people could be doing that and it was part of it, but yeah, just have to be careful, basically. Okay. So leading up to when I met my soulmate, it was just serendipity after serendipity after serendipity where I was doing things that were out of character for me, and things were happening that was out of character for my life. And I had met someone and I heard voices, right? This is not my soulmate. I heard voices and it was very clear. And it was like literally time slow down. And I was instructed something that was going to happen to me. And in that moment of hearing it, again, it's this full surrender and acceptance because it feels like the ultimate truth. It feels just, you don't question it, right? And so it played out, it happened, everything, right? And so when I saw my soulmate for the first time, before he even walked through the door, it was as if like I was falling forward, falling. And it was like lifetime after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, like a scrapbook, like that. Like, and I could fall forever. I could fall forever into the beginning of time. And even as it would reach the beginning of time, like I could perceive that there was going to be a time when I would reach the beginning of time, but then it would reflect back into kind of everyone else's lives of how it's like you have left right now, you have left an impact on someone's life, many people's lives, just by you existing in the world. And on some level, for different people, they have carried your spirit with them in some way, right? The essence of who you are currently, whether it was a positive experience or negative experience, that has carried through. Maybe you had them try something new for the first time and now they continuously do that and it spreads and spreads. So that's that, right? And that's kind of the matrix, but also on a wider scale. And then also so on, whatever, not whatever, but back to the subject. And so I pulled myself out of that experience. I pulled myself out of it because I was so excited. I was so happy to have finally met him, that all of these past lives or experiences were insignificant to me. Like, why bother seeing those things if I was with him now, right? Like, let's start this now. Like, this is the beginning. Like, we've met. Like, let's start the rest of what we had discussed prior to this, right? And I won't really get into all the details and all this, but basically, this is important for you to know, is we're on a constant communication with each other, not just you and your soulmate. You and I are constantly communicating with each other on some level. Okay, it's not even our higher selves. It's like some other, it's like layers and layers and layers and layers and layers and layers. And it's a constant, because when I saw my soulmate, it took me to these levels, many levels, and I could focus because it was all happening at once, right? And even the lifetimes I told you, like those all happen at once. They all happen at once. So, but it's the way that our mind, like, as a human, like, that's how we can kind of make sense of it, I guess, and like put it chronologically, and also to like narrow it into the way that we perceive life, right? We perceive life as this is the end all, not entirely, but for a lot of people, right? And like how you may have grown up is like, this is it, right? There's not, this is not a projection of a limited reality. This is it. And so anyway, the different things that I was seeing is, and this is where I think that these marriage vows have been inspired by, whether I don't know the origins of this, but like origins of wedding vows, but whether they were aware of it or not, it's inspired by spirit, I believe, because there's a level where when you meet your soulmate for the first time in person, there's vows. Or I'm not going to say that. Okay. I'm saying what happened to me. Let's keep it like that. Okay. Cause it's going to be different. Sort of, but I'm going to just say how it happened to me. There was one level where it's like, I promise to do this. I promise this and this and this. And these are promises that are your pre-birth promises that you've made. So as I've met them, in the physical, we were verbalizing our pre-birth promises and the promises that we have already committed to and will continue to commit to. Okay, that's one level. Another level was us discussing just how we perceive each other, like in this life, how we're perceiving each other. Another level was with our guides, and that one was a lot. And so basically I could jump different timelines, or different, it's not timelines, but I could jump different dimensions and see what was happening there, but I can only focus on one at a time, or kind of tune in. I could tune into it, but if I tune into one, then there's a part of me that cannot read the other one because it's at different frequencies. And so the point that is highlighted here for you to know is how on some level we are all communicating with each other. So for you to be here watching this video and continuously watching it for 43 minutes now is, on some level, you and I have been communicating with each other. I don't know why that's significant right now, and how that's significant for your soulmate. I mean, I can see why it's significant for your soulmate, but to connect here, it kind of feels like this is what it feels like, is like it feels like a friendship between us. It feels like a friendship where in here it says watch your thoughts, and there's a sunken ship. Okay, this is the story I'm getting, is the sunken ship, and that's your sunken ship. And I'm picking up this mirror, right? It's like, you're like, can you go down there? You're a mermaid. Can you go down there and just like salvage anything? And I'm getting you this mirror. And I'm like, here it is. And you're like, oh my gosh, how did you know that is the one thing I would love, right? And it's actually showing me that looks like this one mirror. I don't know. Silver must be important here. Because here's a silver mirror, right? It looks very similar. To to what's in here. This one actually looks gold, maybe. Let me look up close. Yeah, this one looks gold, but silver seems to be important because I noticed the owl that I talked about. I noticed this is silver and this. So that, maybe look into the properties of silver. Okay. Worthiness, know that you deserve to receive good in all ways. I'm hearing a song. Until grace. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. Okay. I knew it because when I sat down, I heard Archangel Samuel, and I connect Samuel with soulmates every single time. I don't know why. I guess I need to look into it. And it's beloved one, Archangel Samuel. I am helping you with your spiritual soulmate relationship. I knew it. It's not about me. Obviously, it's literally about you. Like, there's something seriously major going on here. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Okay, so this is how I'm connecting everything, okay? So you know I talked about that medium and how that priest came here, like, they're like, you know, you're not the only one, right? And then I'm connecting it here with this. Okay, here's the thing is, this is a rhetorical question. Do you think I'm the only one that ever had this type of experience with my soulmate? Do you think that I'm the only person that can like pick up on this, right? Do you think that I'm the only person that can like tell you or validate anything for you? Yada, yada, yada. Like, we're literally talking to each other right now on some level. I'm like just laughing at it. I was about to say I sound like a crazy person. It's like after everything I said and been saying, and that is so crazy. Not really, but it's like, obviously not, right? Obviously not. And so I think that's the connection that I'm trying to get across here, is on some level, we're talking to each other for you to come here and look at this video, because I'm not the only person that's like connecting to my soulmate. I'm not the only person who knows my soulmate. I'm not the only person to have seen my future experiences and also my past and all of this stuff, right? Like, on some level, we all know this. It's just blocked from us to certain degrees. And when I talk about how this is a major time for soulmate reconnection and the onslaught of opposition coming in, because it's that's what I want to say too, is like, the closer you are to uniting with your soulmate, and I think this is where I get so passionate and like so riled up about, is because all of this manipulation on mediumship and on psychic abilities and on remote viewing and on all the things that they're using for bad, that they're masking as if it's for something else, when you don't need science to connect yourself to spirituality. That's direct opposition to each other alone. That is already right there. And the more that you focus on your ego and trying to kind of prove anything or do anything, my phone's probably about to die knowing me. The more that you focus on that, the less you are towards that sacred connection within you, because you're trying to prove something. You're trying to prove something there. Again, that's generalizing, because every journey is different, and you might have to experience something like that. You might have to do something like that and go through something like that in order to figure something out in your life. But the point is the closer that you get to this uniting and recognition of God itself and spirit and wholeness, the more that something's going to try and intervene negatively in some form or fashion. So the more that there are people that talk about this, when you feel it prompted, the more that you talk about your experiences, the more that you talk about all that crazy stuff that you've experienced or feel, or you do whatever you feel that you feel is right on your path, the more that's going to awaken on some level other people, because you're, just as you're communicating with me, just as you're communicating with your soulmate, just as you're communicating with whoever else, you're communicating with everyone. So it's going to reverberate. It's like a percolator, but not really. That's how it kind of looks, as percolator, or it's like that pressure buildup. Like, the lowest of the low, right? Like the most blind or crooked or wicked or whatever, they cannot vibrate there if the rest of it is too strong, right? If that is actually, I think a percolator works because then the pressure below sucks it, right? So it's like that, and it brings it up. Or wait, pressure above. Anyway, what's that? Anyway, it goes like you get what I'm saying. So there's something here. There's something here about like recognition, acknowledgement. You're gonna have to sit with what I just said, because I said a bunch of just like random stuff, not random, but like disjointed. Archangel Samuel, very strong here. And again, it's like, I love love so much, and so that's why I get so excited, because I'm like, I knew it. Like this, like I know someone out here is literally, and it's not just one other person, there's like multiple people, and it's like that this is like validating and informing you of something very important for you, because it's not just you uniting in secrecy. Maybe to some capacity, if that's what resonates for you, but you have to listen to you. You have to listen to you and honor that side of you. Remember who you are. Archangel Michael, you are a powerful, loving, and creative child of God. You are very loved. And then these last two say, what do you think it says? Archangel Ariel, prosperity. Your material needs are provided as you follow your intuition and manifest your dreams into reality. Archangel Raguel, divine order. Everything is how it needs to be right now. Look past the illusion and see the underlying order. There's the freaking scales of justice once again. My heart is literally just pumping. It's pumping right now. It's pumping. Okay? So look at the synchronicities in your life. Pay attention. I'll light this candle. Let's light this candle. Then I'll shut this off. I normally don't do like honor candles. I've done it like a couple times, but I should put two in here. I'll put one because it's the unity. Anyway, this candle is for whoever stuck through the end. And everyone who didn't anyway. This is going to be like the sacred burn of the soulmates. Yeah, so that's what I see. Sayonara.